All right, I'm legitimately going to try to make this one brief. I don't know why I struggle so much about doing this. I just kind of ramble. I'm sorry. If you like that, then I guess I'm not sorry, but I'm not trying to do 45-minute to an hour long episodes per chapter. Really, I would love to do that, maybe an hour long for 4 chapters, but we'll see how this goes. And sorry, I don't mean to yell into the microphone. So, chapter 6 starts with Gruntle and their caravan. Remember, they're with Caruli, there's Harlow, and Stony, and they're going into this old city named Saltoan or Saltone. And they don't really want to be there because it's a little sketchy. They have seen some stuff happen there in the past, and they think that they're about to get jumped on, especially this little street. They see some kids. They kind of vanish. They think, oh, the kids have kind of tipped off whoever's about to jump us. They load their crossbows, and then a scarred-faced woman, who they recognize, kind of steps forward and says that they're there not to jump them or to ask them to pay a toll, but to escort them to this gathering that's about to take place. And when they get there, they get into this old crowded tavern that has all these crime lords and whoever there. Basically the people who really run the place. And Caruli is there to make a bit of a presentation, so to speak. And I can't exactly remember all the details, so I will have to kind of flip through a little bit, but I want to just skim through. He is there to basically tell them that they know that some cities have now fallen to the Panian Domain, and that even within other cities that haven't fallen, that there are people kind of planting the seeds, and that the way to defend themselves against it is through more than just swords. It's through their ideas. It's through really not falling into the words of the Panian seer cult, so to speak. These Panian people are sowing seeds within every city that they go to, kind of as a precedent. We will find that, there's other things they send before, but to kind of clear the way, they have people already kind of sowing these seeds. And there is this wholesale slaughter that will come if they don't hold out. But again, the proper way to hold out, and I find this so interesting that there's all these different fronts, and we will see these different ways. But the way that he is describing is not with sword and sorcery, because if you do that, that'll just make martyrs, and a direct attack will just fail, especially as like I said, if you're fighting them and if you kill them, it just makes martyrs of them. And this fire that you're wishing to kind of put out, it'll just spread. And it sounds like it just takes over the place. They are cannibals, this Tenoskri army of the seers. Cannibals that are children of the dead seed, which didn't mean a lot to me at this point in the chapter, but will mean a lot going forward in the next book. But they go forward, and there's this unsatiable hunger that is just like they just devour the land that they go into, and people that once were normal kind of get gobbled up into this as they go through. As Gruntle watches him express this stuff to all these people, it's clear that he is perhaps a mage or a priest, which I think that's the conclusion he gets. But kneeling before which god, I wonder? And that's not me saying that. That's Gruntle. And I have my own ideas. Again, I always go back to wondering their tie to the elder gods. But of all the different fronts that are happening, we have Lady Envy in the south, and we have they're trying to get the what are they called? The huge guys that are from the Bargasts, and we have Silver Fox, and we have all these different fronts. But it seems I kind of want to put my faith and my trust mostly in this Karuli guy. That's where I'm tending to think that, I could be way off, but I tend to think that he is maybe going to have much more of a real impact in the way that we're looking for, more than these other ways that they're going to confront the Panion Domin. And I hope that comes about. It could change, but I tend to think that he's going to more and more be right in the center of this. And Karuli is on his way to Capustan, like everyone else. And I wonder what his influence is going to be once he really sets up shop there. And Gruntle and Harlow and Stawny are still under contract to take him there. Whether they stay once they get there, or things are going to happen, but they're on their way. And on their way, they come across these corpses, and they come across these carriages, and it looks like people are charred black, and the metal is molten away, and I believe the horses and the beasts have just taken off, and it's pretty wild. And Stawny, I think it was her, she goes forward, and they realize that there are 3 Bargasts, 3 of these Whiteface clan Bargasts that are way up along their path. And they are on their way also to Capustan. And so instead of taking a different way, they're going to go and speak to them and perhaps invite them to travel with them. Because there's this awful stuff going on with whatever caravan, whatever hit that caravan had slashes through it, and it's like they were burnt, and wild stuff happening, and they don't know what the at least at this point what the Bargasts are up to, but they kind of agree to go together. Better to be together at least for the time being. And even though Karuli has hired them, if it needs be, he's able to make his way into the city. Even if Capustan is being besieged, he has his ways. He says he has relevant skills for such an undertaking, like he's the priest of some god of sneaking or whatever. I don't know if it's supposed to be obvious what he is like a priest of. I don't quite understand, but very compelling. And we get to know these Bargasts, 3 of them. The woman as the eldest, and the other 2 were 2 males, I believe, and they are all clearly siblings on their way. And they tell them about these demons, these very fast demons who walk the land, and they are there in part to kind of hunt these demons. And here's the description that they give, and this got me so excited. The description, these demons, how are they described? Fast on 2 legs, talons like eagles, only much larger, and at the end of those legs, their arms are blades. Blades? What do you mean? She shrugged. Bladed. Blood iron. Their eyes are hollow pits. They stink of urns in the dark circle. They make no sound at all. So cool. And the fact that they are so fast it just blows their mind. Anyone who sees them, the sight of them just is so cool. Such a cool image. All these different creatures and things that come into this book. That made me so excited. And every time they would show up in this next kind of portion, I would just get so excited. Now, they move on, and I think the next day, and they find Corbel Broach's massive carriage has been, Corbel Broach and Beauchelain's massive carriage has been attacked. Big slash in the side, and they are nowhere to be found. And then up the road, they find Beauchelain, they find Corbel Broach, and they find Buke, who looks scared out of his mind. He has seen what they can unleash. And it turns out that they are in the dark arts of necromancy. One of them, it sounds, is more of like the organ harvester, kind of the Dr. Frankenstein type. And the other one is more like summoning the dead, of kind of desecrating the cemeteries and barrows and whatnot. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I get. And what a duo they make. And they were just barely able to fight off this attack that they had from this group of demon hunters. And again, Buke is just terrified out of his mind. And I just feel for this guy. I hope the best. I hope the best. Now, we get some more information in this part that the Bargasts were accomplished seafarers, and that they kind of spread out in all over the place. And even though that they spread out, they kind of were able to maintain their customs. Even though they don't get a lot of love here from, I believe, the Beauchelain and Corbel Broach and some others, I can't remember if that's exactly right. At least they are consistent, the Bargast group. Now, they don't imagine that they are going to be able to fight off a lot more of these attacks, so they better be careful. And they are going to now make their way, all of them, towards Capustan. They all are on their way there, all with their different motivations and things, which is hard sometimes to keep track of. But again, another temporary alliance on their way. Let's see. Yeah, Buke is like, you will not believe what these necromancers can do, what they can drive forward. And it's like he can't even, he's pooping his pants here. Very cool. Very cool. And they know that probably before that happens, when they get to Capustan, before that happens, they'll probably be attacked again. And they know that they swipe in, they're very fast. I believe here is when they send, they say you can't really defend against them, but they do these horizontal chops and just try your best. Try your best to stay alive. Telling this to Gruntle and stuff, and let these other guys do the work, and hopefully these Bargast hunters can do something. So they're following, and they realize here also that the Bargast people realize that it is these two guys that have kind of desecrated these stick snare things that have, I don't exactly know what those are, other than these. Man, it's been a while. It's been a while since I got to this part. But it's like the Bargast have these burial areas, just like a lot of them, and a lot of the people, but the necromancers have no kind of respect for that. And this is really bothering the Bargasts. Now, let's see. Gruntle faces Caruli again, so we're back with them. Sir, who is your god? he asks. If you call upon him or her, what should we expect? Expect? The round-faced man frowned slightly. I'm afraid I have no idea, Captain. My God's powers are newly awakened from thousands of years of sleep. My God is elder. I forgot about that. See, earlier on in this chapter summary, I forgot that's, very, very cool. Gruntle felt the earth shuddering to fast approaching steps. And Curly hisses, Kachane Chamal, Kel hunters, these ones. So those are the undead hunter things. And we heard words of them in the prologue, which is neat, which they predated the Jagged, I believe, right? So that city with the tower, with all the obsidian glass, that was supposed to be an old Kachane Chamal sort of location, if I'm remembering that right. And then the Jagged built on top of them. The 5 hunters attacked. 3 lances lashed out. Those were the Bargasts. Sorcery ripped. The Kachane Chamal staggered, then collapsed. The 2 kin swept around and vanished into the clouds. I think Corbel Broach is the one who gives a little bit of light. Who gave the light in the area? Man, I wish I could keep track of all this. If I had just read this like yesterday, I would have remembered. But they have this luminescence, and they're just trying to kind of hold out. The other 2 hunters were engulfed in roiling black waves of sorcery. The magic lacerated their bodies. And this is the very end here, pretty much. Gruntle threw a shoulder against Karuli, who was being kind of attacked by one of these Kachane Chamal, sending the man sprawling. He threw up both cutlasses in time to catch a horizontal slash from one of the hunter's massive blades. Gruntle heard more than felt his wrist snap. The hunter's second blade should have cut him in half. Instead, it clashed against Harlow's 2-handed sword. So his buddy, Harlow, steps in. Both weapons shattered. Harlow lurched away, his chest and face spraying blood from a savage hail of iron shards. And then a taloned, 2-toed foot struck Gruntle. It kind of yanked him in the air, and there's pain. He's starting to black out. An enormous weight pinned him. Talons puncturing armor to pierce flesh. The 3 toes clenched around his chest. He coughed, and his mouth filled with frothy blood, and the world darkened. But before that, he felt the talons shudder as if resonating from some massive blow. Another followed, then another. The claws spasmed. Then he felt himself lifted into the air and sent flying, striking the ground and rolling. He felt himself dying, knew himself dying. He knew his eyes were open, yet he could see nothing. Either Corbel Broach's spell of light had failed, or the captain had found his own darkness. And that's the end of book 1 of this exciting book so far. If you like that format of just kind of going through it in detail, if you're still here for that, then please leave a like if you would. And it really does help. And subscribe, or consider subscribing. And I will see you on the next portion of this book, which, again, I keep saying I'm going to try to keep it more brief and give my reactions. I do have some other things on the go, but I do have some time in the next few days. So I think I'm going to be able to catch up, and I may try to also, on top of doing these chapter reactions, do more of a kind of a more broad review. But let me know if this format works for you. Let me know, and if you'd rather have just more of a basic review of the parts, let me know. But I know when I do that, I will forget lots. So we'll see. I'm enjoying it though. So I will see you on the next one.